All right, what is up, YouTube? So we're going to be going over the macro windows and the SMR window. This is basically what I utilize to figure out when in the hour I'm going to be taking action on the chart. If it prints outside of these scenarios that I have written down already, then I'm basically not taking action. The macro is XX50 to XX10, meaning whatever hour you're looking at, whatever time you're looking at, doesn't matter if it's midnight, afternoon, morning, it literally doesn't matter. Just look at whatever XX is, that's your hour, but it has to be 50-minute to the 10th minute of the top of the next hour. So looking at an example here, let's just go over the 1 minute time frame real quick. Basically, you put a line right here at 1550. You put another line here at 1610. So that 20-minute window is what we would call a macro window. Now, there's another window called the SMR window, smart money reversal window, whatever other people want to call it, but it's the middle of the hour. So instead of it being XX50 and XX10, it's going to be XX20 and XX40. So this would be your other window of operation. Okay. That means that every single hour will have this. So every single hour in the middle 20 minutes and in the top and bottom 20 minutes of the hour will have a window of opportunity to work with. If your trade basically sets up in this window in the in-between, the smaller window, typically speaking, this trade will be invalid. It will not work out. They can work out, but their probabilities are just a lot lower. Okay. So I'm not saying they will, you'll never see one of those win. Their probabilities are just a lot lower. So here's the times again. So you guys can take those down. Now, these are the only scenarios where I operate in. Breaker block is inside of the macro. So it's inside of that box we talked about on time. And we confirm it inside of macro as well. So if it builds in macro and we confirm it in macro, that is a valid play. And I am willing to take that trade every time. Number two is breaker block is outside of macro and we confirm breaker inside of macro. This is going to be also valid. It's completely fine. Number three, breaker block is inside of macro and we confirm outside of macro. That's completely fine. The only scenario I don't have here is breaker block builds outside of macro and confirms outside of macro. Then at that point, I will never take a trade under that premise. It's just not worth it. You very likely will lose. So let's go back onto the 1 minute time frame and we'll go over some examples that I had already written down. So we have the 5 minute sweepable here. We have the breaker block candle being this blue candle building at 950, meaning it's inside of the XX50, XX10. We then confirm that at 955. So again, it's still inside of that window, meaning this is scenario number one. It built inside a macro. It confirmed inside a macro. It's completely valid. It's good. Now going on to the next one. This one is 5 minute sweep. The breaker block candle builds at 733, meaning is inside of the SMR window. So this is good. And we confirm at 742. So it confirms outside of the macro or SMR window. But this is still valid because the breaker block is inside of the framework. This is scenario number three. And then scenario number two, I believe I had another example here. Okay, here it goes. Scenario number two was 5 minute sweep. And then we have 1212 as the breaker block. And we confirm that breaker block here at 1237. It confirms it literally by a tick, but yeah, it did confirm it at 1237. So the breaker block is 1212. That is outside of macro because it's, remember, it's XX50, XX10, XX20, XX40. So from XX11 to XX19, that window is the no trade zone, essentially. So from here to here, this gap is the no trade zone. Anything that builds out of here and confirms out of here would be the no trade zone, right? But for this one, even though it's in the no trade zone, we're getting our breaker block confirming it inside of the macro. So this is what makes it valid, because this is in the trade zone, which is from 1220 to 1240. So it's inside of the window, confirms it, it's valid. This one gets stopped out, I believe, shortly after running, but yeah, it's valid. Okay. Now the only ones we don't go over is, again, stuff that just builds outside of that macro and confirms outside of the macro. It's fairly rare to find those, to be very honest, but they do happen occasionally, and you might see one or two print very well, but they don't really go too far for the most part. I mean, they can, but it's one of those things that you want to stack the odds in your favor, and this is the best way of doing it. You want to look at the time, and then based on the time, you want to take actions on the chart based on the macro windows. Just go and study it. You're going to see that the more you see these 1 minute breaker blocks that print to very high probability RR and standard deviations and so on, most of them meet the criteria as we talked about. Very rarely will the breakers that print outside of that meet the criteria we're talking about, and they usually don't go to 4 standard deviations. Again, they can, but it's not the normal. It's not the typical. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. It's a quick one. I just forgot to mention the macro stuff in the beginning of the series, and somebody asked me on stream, so I needed to make sure I looked back on it and explained it. This is not super complicated. In the beginning, basically just go ahead and put this lines on your chart just so you can get the discipline of knowing when they are. Once you do that for a couple to a few weeks, you're not going to need them anymore, because you're just going to know that, yes, it is in macro, and it's going to be pretty obvious. There is an indicator that I've used before, so I'll bring it up real quick, called Macro Times by blue_Jew. And so here you basically would just put the hours within the time frame that you're going to work on. So let's say you're working like 3 hours in the market, whatever those 3 hours are that you typically are in the market, you would do, 8:20, 8:40, 9:20, 9:40, and so on. And then you would add a second indicator with the other window. So it would be like 8:50, 9:10, 9:50, 10:10, 10:50, 11:10, and so on. But for, obviously, again, whatever time frame you're working inside of, and it basically just highlights everything for you, so you don't have to manually do it yourself, as you can see. So just makes it simpler to basically visually see what's going on. That way you don't have to draw the lines and have a bunch of labels here on the bottom. So I'll bring it up again, Macro Times blue_Jew, and this is my settings for it. But all right, thank you, everybody. I'm going to be trying to slow down a little bit of my speech. I got some feedback that I'm talking way too fast for some folks to understand, especially the folks overseas. So I'm going to do my absolute best to try to slow down. I am a fast speaker by heart. Like, that's just the way I am. Also, I personally don't like to watch really slow content on YouTube. I personally like to hear the information faster. But I am getting the feedback from a few people now that I should be slowing down a little bit. So I'm going to try my best to emphasize a little bit more what time frame we're using here. Not just mention it, but actually point to it. And then I'm going to just try to slow my speech down a little bit so folks can understand a little bit better. If you want it to still be fast, the way I normally try to talk, you can just hit the settings on YouTube, hit speed, and then turn me up to 1.25 or 1.5 or whatever. But yeah, thank you, everybody. Hope you guys are enjoying the videos. I'm thinking of doing an FX replay series where I just do FX replays without any cuts or anything. I mean, just the cuts from when I'm not talking at all, but without any cuts, just kind of showcasing the strategy um, over replay periods so you guys can see me kind of practice it more and more. Obviously, I live trade every day, but if that day only has 1 or 2 trades, well, then you guys only get to see 1 or 2 trades. But if I do the FX replays, you guys might be able to see 5, 10 trades in one video or whatever. And it might speed up the process in terms of seeing how the model it's supposed to work, how you're supposed to spot things. So I'm thinking of doing that. I'm not 100%. I already know somebody told me that I should definitely do it. So yeah, I'm thinking about doing it. I just don't know how well it will perform on YouTube, and I'm not really sure how many people would be interested in it. I know personally, like I don't really watch YouTubers who do the FX replay too much, but it could just be because I live trade all the time and I'm full time as well. So I don't ever feel like I need to practice extra since I already trade live every day for several hours. But maybe for the folks who are not full time yet and they're obviously still trying to get to full time, or maybe not if there's not their goal, but whatever. Maybe the folks are just trying to get the most experience they can. Maybe it will help them. So please give me some feedback on that. Comment down below if you guys think that would be a good idea. If you guys would actually tune in and watch those videos, and then I will try to figure out when I'm gonna do them. Maybe when I'm done live streaming for the day on NQ, if there's nothing else for me to watch on price action, maybe I'll hop on the FX replay so that we can do a session there. I'm not sure, like a live session, so I can explain price while I'm live doing the FX replay. Maybe that would be good content. Let me know. Thank you guys. Bye.